Today we're going to be talking about Space Police 3 and the Jetpack Racer from the new CMF line. The reason I want to talk about this minifig is because he reminds me of Space Police. Or I should say, this is what Space Police 3 should have looked like. So the first set that we'll review together is SP Undercover Cruiser. This set comes with one alien bandit and one space police officer. The bandit gets a small vessel that can be used to escape at high speeds. The little wings on the sides can be angled however you want, and the flick missiles can be fired on unsuspecting Wolfpack Beastmasters. We'll find two similar missiles on either side of the Undercover Cruiser. If we go to the front of the cruiser, we'll come across these four large engines which make the cruiser capable of reaching some incredible speeds. Each side is nicely decorated with some red and blue details against a white background, and this section can be removed to make the ship sleeker and more aerodynamic, although I'm not really sure where the propulsion would come from. Now, if we go to the back of the cruiser, we'll find a movable rear wing next to our little cockpit. And there's not much to say about this little cockpit because it's very small, but there's a very peculiar aero sticker in front of it.
Autobots, transform!
Whoa, this thing can transform! So basically, this version of the cruiser is supposed to be some kind of cargo ship. And yeah, this is pretty cool. There's not much to say about this set, weirdly enough. I think it's really cool, the play feature is really nice, and it looks pretty cool, but on the surface, there's not that many details that I can really talk about, so let's just move on to the Lunar Limo. In this set, we get 3 minifigs. We get 1 Space Police agent and 2 alien bandits, and one of them is called Brick Daddy. His special head mold can also be found in pearl gold on the hood. Right behind is a little switch that can be flipped to fire this missile. If we go inside the limo, we'll see that there's enough space to sit all 3 minifigs, or we could fit both alien minifigs and this little vehicle. This rather insignificant amalgamation of parts represents some kind of machine gun that can fly. Not really sure what you're gonna do with that, but I guess it's nice to get. At the back, there's a trunk that is big enough to fit an entire minifigure, and I guess it was meant for the Space Police agent. You might have noticed that I've purposefully neglected to mention any of the details on this vehicle, instead just talking about the normal play features, and that's because there are a lot of details on this ship, so instead of describing all of them and taking all of the time, I'm just gonna let the camera show you. And then we're gonna move on to Jetpack Racer. At last, we arrive at the Jetpack Racer. When I first saw this minifigure, the classical white, black, red, and blue color scheme immediately reminded me of Space Police. Especially, the trans-red visor on his helmet seemed to correspond perfectly with the classic trans-red visors of Space Police 1 and Space Police 3. I know LEGO already made a Space Police minifigure, but to me this minifigure feels more like a remake of Space Police 1, whereas the Rocket Racer feels like a proper reimagining. I feel like the normal Space Police 3 minifigure that we got feels too close to a military. It feels more brutal, it feels evil almost. Whereas this Rocket Racer feels more like a derpy little space police guy. I don't know how to really say it, it just feels different. It feels more hopeful, more nice, which probably fits more with LEGO's vibe in general. So his leg printing is reminiscent of some recent space minifigures like the Robot Nurse and the Blacktron Mutant. Now, the only thing that is missing from the Rocket Racer is a classic space logo or something similar to say that it's a Space Police agent, but instead there's this weird triangular logo. I'm not really sure what this triangular logo represents, but I've seen it before in some recent minifigures. A similar triangle pattern can be found on the legs of the new City Space minifigures. Clearly, LEGO is trying to connect all of these minifigures in some kind of extended space universe, but it's still unclear what their end goal is. Hopefully, we'll find out pretty soon, but I really don't have any more information on this. Alright, now let's see if we can customize this minifig. First, we can change the face print to get a different character. Afterwards, we could swap the jetpacks for some air tanks. Now, we could give them some accessories. A classic round shield in trans red beautifully matches the visor's colors, so I think it works pretty well. On the offhand, we could give them a blaster or some kind of communicator, or maybe a specialized tool that can be used to open doors or stun enemies with a powerful electric beam. We could even give them a small vehicle to move around the base. Overall, I really love this minifigure a lot. I think it fits perfectly with the space minifigures and sets that we've gotten recently. Now, only one question remains. Will LEGO eventually remake all space sub-themes of the 80s and 90s, or is this the end? If this is the end, well, I think we've been fortunate. Space has been really cool in the past 2 years, and I seriously can't complain. Well, except for the gift with purchases, but that's another topic for another day. But yeah, I think we've got some really cool space stuff, and I'm pretty happy about it. In conclusion, I know this video wasn't really about Space Police 3, it was more about the Rocket Racer, but I really love the Undercover Cruiser, and I also really love the Lunar Limo. In my opinion, these two sets go perfectly with the Jetpack Racer, and I really think this is what Space Police 3 should have looked like. Or at least, this is what the officer should have looked like. They're just perfect. Anyways, I guess that's it for today, and thanks for watching.